Welcome back, fellow humans and mutants alike. My name is Kyle. I am with Danny. Once again, we are diving into Dawn of X. This week, there is no X-Men issue. We start with Marauders issue number 4 this week, which is interesting. Taking a break from X-Men, but last week we talked about what did we talk about? X-Force?
X-Force.
X-Force.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, things
Great
popping
issue.
off in X-Force. We learned a lot about what's going on and what's going down behind the scenes. And we saw, is that the one Charles got resurrected, right? That one? Or was it the
Yes.
one before? Yeah,
Yes,
that was that
that
one.
was the
Yeah,
same issue because a lot happened that issue. Charles got resurrected,
yeah.
Domino got put back on the table, so it was
Yes.
a lot of return to like the characters that you were like, "Oh, are these people gonna like come back into play soon?" And they were like, "Yep, they're back."
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so Domino made her return. She's back on Krakoa, safe and sound, with new
It's
weird
upgrades.
crackling branch upgrades. Yeah. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what happens with her and with that run moving forward. But today we're going back to Marauders. Now, we mentioned we thought it would be like a kind of like the whole Emma, Kate Pride, then Sebastian Shaw, and kind of following that route of these three characters, right? Although the White King, the Black Queen, the Black King, the White Queen, and the Red Queen. We thought it would kind of follow this rotation, but once again, we're kind of diving into a Kate heavy issue. Um,
Very
which
much, yeah.
I expected, like you said, last time we talked about Marauders, it would circle back to being more Emma heavy. And at first I thought it was because we got that glance of Emma shopping in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Um, but then we cut straight to Kate Pride doing her thing for most of the issue. And very Kitty and Bishop heavy in this issue.
Definitely. Oh yeah, they're definitely the focal point of this story.
Absolutely. And we get into some characters that are kind of new, kind of unfamiliar to me at least, but we'll talk about them as we run into them. Before we start, this is done by once again Jerry Dugan's writing, taking the
Mhm.
helms. But we get Lucas Wernick. Did he do the art for the previous issues, or is this his first Marauders issue? Because I want to say that that name sounds different than the previous issues.
For the Marauders, I think this is his first foray into it. Let me pull open
Yes.
Marauders right now. I actually
Uh,
have three right
yeah.
here.
Issue
And
number
no, yeah,
three.
it's
Yeah.
it was Bandini.
Bandini who did the
Yeah.
third issue. Did Bandini do the first three issues? Yeah. No, Matteo Loli did issue number 2.
Yep.
And who
They're
did,
switching it up every issue, it
yeah.
seems.
Okay, Matteo Loli did issue number 1 and 2. So Matteo
Oh,
Loli, Bandini, and now we get Wernick. And I'm going to say it, Wernick's artwork is by far my favorite so
I
far.
was gonna say the same thing. I completely agree with you. Like the way the artwork is done in this is probably the high point. I mean, the
Yes.
writing is good, the story's great, but the
Yeah.
artwork is just so phenomenal.
Ooh, so phenomenal. I love it. And you just, it hits you right with that first, the cover page, man, with Storm, just like that very kind of long perspective, as it's like a top-down view of her kind of above the sea, and you just see her in all her glory summoning some lightning. It's great. It's amazing, figure wise and perspective wise, and understanding human form. This is mastery at its finest.
Yeah, the depiction of her hair is just so majestic. It really brings out that goddess aspect in Storm, like the way it flows
Yes.
around her, like she's some sort of deity.
And also, I wanted to know, I've been hearing a lot of hate on Marauders specifically because people are mad that a Storm is not getting her kind of moment in the spotlight in this issue, which I find interesting that people have that kind of opinion. People really love Storm apparently because they're mad that she's kind of like a background character in this.
But I mean, so is Iceman.
So's
So I
Iceman,
mean,
yeah, exactly,
yeah. I mean this and the focal point of the story is kind of the transitioning of Bishop trying to become a part of the whole fold. So him
exactly.
getting a lot of story is fine, but let's be real. Marauders is Kitty's story. It's
It's
because
Kitty's,
yeah.
yes.
I mean, even the stuff with Emma and her like whole greater plot, she still kind of throws to Kitty every now and then and like catches up with her. So it's like Kitty peppers herself into almost every story in Marauders, even if she's not the focal point.
Yeah, agreed. Which I love personally, as I've stated on every Marauders episode we've done. Kate is my girlfriend. Do not look at her. She is mine.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh man. I'm more in love with the angst that Sebastian Shaw is putting out in every
Yeah,
issue he's in. He's so he just that dude. Even when he catches a break, it really seems like
yeah,
he's getting screwed over.
yeah. He is.
He's like the punching bag for like the whole Marauder series.
He really is. He really is. That's funny.
Oh man.
But let's dive into this issue. Let's do it, folks. All right. Public humiliation. Mutants around the world are flocking to the island nation of Krakoa for safety, security, and to be part of the first mutant society. The Hellfire Trading Company is responsible for distributing Krakoa's pharmaceuticals to friendly nations and smuggling mutants out of unfriendly ones. Conducting the organization's duties across the high seas are Captain Kate Pride and her crew aboard their vessel, the Marauder. And our first panel is actually another X desk from a desk of X, right?
Yes.
And we kind of again, we do not know who this is to exactly. It's been redacted once again. Um, but in this kind of memo that we get, it's just talking about kind of an intelligence of what's going on with the Marauders, and they note that they've observed two boats, but they have yet to see the third one, and we know that each person, a part of the Hellfire Trading Company, has their own vessel to do their thing and whatnot. So we're seeing this perspective of whoever is on this intelligence agency side of like investigation. They're trying to figure out what is the next one? What is this last boat? But I assume they know the Marauder, right? Kate's boat as
Yeah.
well as um Emma's boat, right? The
Yeah.
that's done by her brother. That's
The
captained by her
yacht,
brother.
because there's the yacht with the big cannon that they
Yes.
reference.
Hmm.
And then there's the black military frigate, which is like that's easy, you know. Who would else would be, you know, the color coordination is on point.
Yeah.
So obviously black military frigate would be tied to the Black King. But also the note here that they kind of hone in on a lot of the things we were wondering about the X desk, because
Hmm.
we thought, and what I was thinking originally is that it was like a kind of joint operation that was like a United Nations kind of thing, where this was
Yes.
like the United Nations desk that deals with all the mutant stuff. But they break down that there's MI6 has their X desk, and
Yeah.
this one is
Everyone has their own X desk. Yeah.
exactly.
And
This
this
one is
particular one, he is budgetless. He has no one.
yeah.
He's very bitter about it too.
And it's supposedly it's the United States' X desk. From the way I gather, that they speak about the Navy into the U.S. Navy intel and just their relations within the government. It seems like this is
Okay.
the U.S. is X desk that's run by for some reason one dude or one person. I don't. It's just grossly understaffed, but who knows?
Who knows?
And it
Yeah.
wouldn't be the first time compartmentalization didn't work in the United States government. I mean, they'll overstaff things and understaff things left and right, and you'll just be like, I don't understand this based off of necessity. Like, isn't this a no-brainer? And our government's just like, ah.
It reminds me of like when you get into the like I feel like this is the thing you would do if you worked in the government is that you would justify and hone like essentially like you'd be put in a shit position and then you would justify that position. Like it reminds me of what's it called, 30 Rock, when Jack went to go work for the government and
Oh yeah,
we get what's his name, what's his name,
Matthew
Matthew
Broderick.
Broderick, and he's just
Yeah,
like, and you hear Jack, he's just like, there's a leak in the roof. And then Matthew Broderick's like, there's not. We did a study. There's not, according to the government.
I mean, you can almost see that. Oh, that's a great episode too. It's like we
Right?
got the pets. Finally got. That's just the caps.
Right? It's
But you can almost see this mirrored in real time. Like, look at it. We have all these government agencies that are focusing on the coronavirus and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But it's like the opium epidemic is out of control. Like the life expectancy for the average American has gone down due to the rise in the opium epidemic.
Oh
But
yeah.
or like heart disease, all these things that we could focus on. But they're just like, but 1,000 people have the coronavirus, and they could die at a 5% chance. Like, we got to get people on this, and we got to cancel E3. And I'm like, what?
Right?
It's crazy. Oh,
It's insane the amount of hysteria happening right now.
yeah. But that's why this is so perfect because I'm just like, oh, it's grossly underpopulated or understaffed, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times indeed.
Oh, and
Uh,
Jumbo Carnation is referenced. That
Jumbo
too.
Carnation is referenced, which is interesting. We see this whatever this solo Desk of X person kind of doing some work, and he's kind of monitoring Emma Frost, and he notes about Jumbo Carnation and how he's all like, I'm pretty sure he died like years ago, but here he is just walking around with Emma Frost in Manhattan, and I'm pretty sure something's wrong. So we kind of get this the one guy that is working alone without a team who's very bitter actually finding some actual intelligence information that perhaps no one ever knew that hey, maybe these mutants might be able to resurrect themselves.
But he writes it off with the kind of trope that we as like comic book readers understand, and he makes the joke about how mutant graves are essentially revolving doors.
Yes.
And so he's like, I can't really make a big deal about it, but it's just funny because like Grant Morrison's character of like a dude with Teflon skin and forearms is back and is kicking it
Yeah.
on the mean streets of Brooklyn. It's such a weird like little like nod, but I like where they're going with it, and they kind of tie back into it later because I'm just like, why is he back? What is the point of this? And then there's a little throwaway line later that Kitty like makes about him, and it's like,
Yes.
oh, that's why he's back.
Yep.
Because we've come to understand that they revive mutants based off of necessity. I wonder if he got. Wonder they were like, we need a fashion designer bad.
Dude,
Let's put
yeah.
him up in the packing order. Let's give him an express revival card. Oh man, so bizarre.
We brought you back, Jumbo Carnation. What do you need me for? Pants. Lots of pants.
Los pantalones. muchos, muchos pantalones.
Oh, underlay, my friend, underlay.
Oh, good times.
But yeah, you see this guy, he's super bitter, he's super apathetic because like the last lines is like, maybe the mutants are going back in time, but what do I know? I'm on a desk. Like he's like, there could be stuff happening, you know, I might be onto something, but I'm not gonna do shit about it.
Yeah. I don't know what you want me to do. I just want man. If you're still reading, send money, send bodies.
Yeah.
We're behind.
It's funny. But we cut to Brazil after that, and we meet with like these four kind of mutants, I imagine, and they're just kind of hanging out, and they're on a beach, and while they're on the beach, they're just kind of like, "What do we do?" And they see these boats come out of the water, and they're just like, "Is that them? Is that them? Or is this what we're waiting for?" And at first, they're like, "No, that's the Brazilian."
Navy.
Navy, but
It's a
then
blockade, yeah.
it's a blockade pretty much preventing them from leaving. But then after we see kind of this boat come out from behind them, and it's of course the Marauder itself, and we are introduced to both Iceman and Pyro, just like blasting ice and fire both on both sides of the boats, kind of destroying the blockade. Uh,
Rocking some Journey too.
yeah,
It's just I like that. That's pretty cool.
right. We got
And
some.
note that these kids are also speaking Portuguese, so it's obvious that they're mutants that are stuck behind enemy lines, and it's like this is
Yes.
where the Marauders come in. They're good at smuggling, drugs and mutants past enemy lines, and it seems like these kids are all pretty close too, because one of them like can swim and has like gills, and they're like, dude, just go for it, and he's like, I won't leave you guys. So it's like you totally get that these are displaced children that are
Yeah.
trying to just get out of here, and the Brazilian government is like, no, you cannot leave. And the Marauders are like, fuck that.
Yep.
Cue the journey. We're getting these kids out.
The journey, and we see we see Pyro and Lockheed working together again. I love this combination. Can Lockheed just be Pyro's lackey from now on?
I dig it, but I mean, this is really it for Pyro in this issue. Like that's his. He did
Yeah,
his
yeah,
moment. He gave us a George Costanza. He like wanted left us wanting more, and he bounced, which is
yeah.
good. I liked it because I really fucking hate that tattoo on his
Oh, I
face.
fucking hate that shit. Yeah, I can't stand.
It's such a dumb fucking tattoo, but
It's
whatever.
so
At least
dumb.
at least he's countering my apathy with like awesomeness with Lockheed and him working hand in hand. So
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
uh yeah, so as that attack is happening on the blockade, the kids kind of know, and they're just like, all right, this is it, this is our time, and they try to make a break for it, right? And as they make a break for it, they run into this stern like military man that's just like, oh no, this is not what you do, man. You're a member of the state, and if you leave, that's treason. Treason's the penalty of death if you do that. And as they're just like fuck, and they put their hands up, right? The kids are just like
The fish kid's like, "Fuck you, Paragon."
I
Now,
love
I
the
wonder
fish
if
man, yeah.
Paragon, because I'm not familiar with this character, I wonder if Paragon's his name, or if like he's just being general. Because like Paragon is literally like that's like a term you could say for like a superhero
Yeah,
type person. It's like almost saying like super dude or Superman. Type.
exactly.
I wonder, but I mean, maybe because I'm not familiar with this character, it could be that there was like a whole issue of like, secret warriors where they did espionage in like Brazil, and this guy was introduced or something like that. But it's definitely one of those things where I was like, who the hell is this guy? But I do like that he said "fuck you," and the other kids were like, he does not speak for
He does
us.
not speak for us. Don't kill us, please. Like, oh god, shut your mouth. What are you doing right now? It's like,
I'm digging fish.
oh, it's so good. And then as this threat is kind of happening, we see the Marauders kind of encroach on them. Specifically, we get Storm, the African Queen herself, as she
Oh
kind of comes
yeah.
up, and she's just all like, "These kids are coming with." I like it because she's just all like super like stern and confident. She's like, "These kids are coming with us if they so choose to."
Yeah. Hey, come with me if you want to live. If you want.
If you want, no, no, we're not pushing anything. It's like
You do
very,
you. You do you.
yeah, if you don't want to come, that's cool, but come with us if you want to live.
Oh man.
And we get the typical cliche of like the bad guy here, which is probably the lower point of this issue, I think, with this military like guy, just like, oh, you think you could handle me? You don't know what I'm capable of. And then Storm's just like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Oh gosh, and it's funny because you mentioned earlier people were not liking how Storm wasn't getting her love, but I mean this part,
This is a
she
great
got
part.
her
Yeah.
love. Oh man, we're getting some good Storm action right here because she hits him with straight off with like a fat bolt of lightning, and he takes it pretty well, but he looks a little crispy fried. And he's like, "Is that the best you could do?" And
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, well, that was just the first bolt."
Yeah. Yeah,
Whoa.
she was just like, yeah, that's the first one. Don't you know how like storms work? And he's just like, what? And then he gets this huge moment where it's just like, they're still or she's just like, it's still charging in the clouds.
Yeah,
I
the
don't know
main
what
bolt
you're.
is still charging.
Yeah. And then he gets, we get a huge badoom, and he just gets wrecked, and he has like a Yamcha moment where he's just like sizzling in a crater.
Yes! It is a Yamcha moment. I didn't even make the connection until now. He's even got the pose and everything.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, I like that pre-bolt action where after he got hit with the first one, and then the second bolt was about to hit, and he started getting all static, and he was just like, "Oh fuck!" Like even his hair shot up.
Yeah, yeah, his hair is great, which is
Oh,
great. I love that. So that's another note to Werner, or is that his name? Sorry, I forgot his name already. Wernick, sorry. Uh, Another note on Warnock's art, like his attention to detail is amazing because that panel before it, we get that aggro soldier just mad, and then she's all like, "It's you got more pain coming ahead of you," and he's just like, "Oh," and on that panel where he's like, "Oh," you get that like static discharge and his hair just sticking up, and that attention to detail of like, yeah, static electricity and magnetism causes some shit to happen before the actual electricity happens. So the attention to detail is amazing. I love it. And then you get that big bada boom, badoom, not bada boom. What is this, Fifth Element? You get this big badoom, and then
Lilu multipass.
Leo Dallas multipass. You get some multipasses
uh,
there.
they're making a Monster Hunter movie or Monster Hunter movie, and she's in it. Mila
Oh,
Jovovich.
is her husband directing it? Because
Oh, probably.
I
God,
feel like every time she's in a movie, it's because her husband directs it. But
did he loves to make his yeah.
yeah,
Unfortunate. But I like the comment from the fish kid again. He's like, ah ha ha, you glass that fucker.
yeah,
Yeah, literally turn the sand into glass because it burns
yeah,
so hot. I'm
for
really
sure.
impressed with that. There's more on the detail again. Just like that's a really like beautiful silhouette of glass to go around his like Yamcha pose.
Exactly
Oh,
right.
I
It's
was wrong. Look, I guess there is a little more pyro action. He gets one more
just
panel.
get a little more. Yeah, it's great. I love this moment too. And after kind of they kind of neutralize the bad guy. They get all the children on the boat. Um, and it's great. Pyro's just like, what a gas. Welcome aboard, young mutants. Who needs a beer?
He speaks it in such an Australian accent. He's like, "Who wants Foster's?"
Yeah. It is a great moment. That's a perfect like they're not like they're always reminding us that they're kind of like pirates. They're not like the probably the most refined humans on this mission. They're always doing something that's going to cause you to go like, they're helping people, but you're offering them a beer as well.
These are the Marauders from yesteryear. Sabretooth isn't going to show up and just murder these children. Instead,
Exactly.
Pyro's going to get them wasted.
Yeah, it's swashbuckling good times, folks.
Oh yeah.
And I love it. I love these little moments. But here we go. We got this is the first time we noticed that there is actually a portal on the boat. Which was that there the first couple issues? I think this is kind of a new thing.
I
Because
don't
it,
recall it.
it's a great hack though, because it's like you get on the boat and get in the portal as quick as possible. And this is like the best way to get people to where they need to go to Crackle as fast as possible,
Yeah,
essentially.
because in the previous issues, especially the first one they introduced, they were smuggling all those Russians in with Colossus, and like they were just all on the boat. It wasn't there was no like teleportation, so this seems pretty new.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and we get the fish boy. He just says abrigado to everyone, which is thank you in Portuguese, I believe.
Yeah, they were speaking Portuguese.
Yeah, so they're just like thankful and they're just like, all right, cool. We're going to Krakow now. We're gonna have a good time. And that's more or less the end of this mission. It was very quick and to the point, right? We just got an insight on what's going on. And note that there is no Kitty and no Bishop. Oh, there is Kitty, right? There's Kitty's here, right? Kitty is
Yeah.
here, but then we cut quickly to Kitty and Bishop on a completely different mission, which is kind of at first I thought Kitty wasn't on this mission until I noticed her next to Pyro in the panel. But then we're abruptly cut to a Kitty and Pyro back in Taipei, I believe, right?
No,
Taipei.
Bishop and Gideon type.
Yeah. Bishop and Kitty in Taipei, and they're starting a new mission essentially. And we got snippets of this from issue number 1 where we saw Bishop doing kind of recon work in Taipei.
Yeah, with their weird lengthy text message combo.
Yes, where they had to get rid of their burner phones. Um, but they're on top of a building right now, and they're just kind of talking. And she's looking at a map of where she needs to go. And the map is, of course, because of mutants, it's all in Krakowan, right? And
Yeah.
it's great. We get this great moment where she's all like, "Is this a good moment to admit that I don't know Krakowan?" And she's just all like, and then Bishop's just like, "What? How? What? How?" And we got to remember, we got to note, folks, that she's really spent minimal amount of time on Krakoa.
Well, like they touched on in the panel before that, when Iceman was talking to the kids, he says, "Go right through the portal, kids. You'll hear a weird voice in your head, and then you can understand this weird, like it was some sort of symbol that we weren't sure what it was, and then you looked it up, and it says Krakoan, right?
Krakoa.
That's
Yeah,
what it
it's Krakoa.
Yeah, that's what it translates to. So it's like we're reminded of that, and then in the next panel, Kitty's like, "By the way, I've never been through the portals, so I actually don't know what the hell any of you are ever talking about. What are these symbols? What is Apocalypse's name? Can someone tell me
Someone
what
tell
the
me.
hell to call
Tell me what it
Apocalypse?
is.
Every time I meet someone, they tell me I'm using the wrong name. I feel so behind. Like, just get me like a legend or like a traveler's just a traveler's translation guide, please.
Yes, but like mentioned in Powers of X, when you go through the portals of Krakoa, uh, you are psychically transmitted the language of Krakoa. So this is an experience Kitty has never had, and she's kind of lamenting this to Bishop a little bit as they're preparing for their mission, right? And she's looking through this building. They're about to do a what is it called, where you
Base jump.
free base jump, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're about to base jump off of this building in Taipei, and they do it. Essentially, they tandem jump, right? Kitty's attached to Bishop, and as this is happening, she's just all like, Logan always thought this is crazy, pretty much. And he's all like, wait, you didn't do this in real life? No, it's just like kind of a thing we thought about and thought about doing. But I was always called crazy for doing it. But here we are, we're doing it midair. I just wanted to tell you this.
And then through the floor of this building, they fade.
It's great. I
Right
love
past the guards too. The guards are
right
just like,
past them. And it's great as they kind of parachute down. We see these guards, and they're not paying attention, and they phase through the top of the building. And essentially, she stops the phasing. Bishop's stuck, and she just jumps down, more or less. And while this is happening,
Which is
she's
funny. Like when
yeah,
you see Bishop in the background, like it almost looks like she forgot about him. But then the next panel, he's already down. I was hoping the next panel he's just stuck up there, and he's just like, "What, Kitty? Like what the fuck?
yeah. It's like, why'd you do this? Fuck.
Throw me a
Why didn't
knife,
you let me?
jerk."
Something. Yeah. But I assumed he just unstrapped himself, hopped down.
Exactly.
But yeah, as they're doing this, they're talking about Lim Zhao, right, the billionaire, and his wife Chen, right? Because in the first issue, remember, we got this introduction of Chen Zhao, kind of giving this hate speech about mutants, right?
Now they took her husband away
How
from
they
her
took her husband
after
away
he
and all
touched the
that.
portal, he disappeared.
Yeah, and they mentioned that her husband, is like nowhere in the database or records of Krakoa at all. So there's some fishiness happening, and this is the mission. They're trying to figure that out right now, and they pretty much go into their house, right? They're
Yeah,
inside
this is like their
their
fancy,
mansion.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, or like fancy apartment.
Yeah, and they're just kind of wandering around. They're talking about the mission a little bit, and they run into like some ivory, and she's like, "Is this real ivory?" Yeah, yeah, it is real ivory. And she's just all like, "Whoops!" It somehow got into the walls and fell. Like she's just being like an asshole. It's great. She's all like, "Oh, this is ivory. Okay, well, fuck. I guess it got lost." And she just phases it through the wall, and she makes it disappear.
They're gonna
Like I would
remodel this apartment someday, and someone's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
stumble onto hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ivory. Not bad. But yeah, I love this attitude. She is definitely this kind of like she's taken the whole like pillage and plunder role to heart for sure. Like she sees Ivory, she's like, I don't like this. Fuck these people. Fuck this thing that's thousands of dollars gone.
She's very chaotic good. Kind of reminds me, almost chaotic neutral, but very much reminds me of like a Robin Hood.
Yeah, very, very much so. Um yeah, so she stashes it in the walls. And as they're kind of talking, uh by the way, she mentions this is going to be a 90-second mission. They're 80 seconds into the mission right now. So they got 10 seconds left. By the way, it's not going to last 90 seconds, by the way, folks.
I thought he was counting down. Did I misinterpret that? I thought he's 10. They're 10 seconds in, and and there's 80 to go.
Okay. That could be the case. Regardless, they're still not going to make their time.
Oh, totally not. No, yeah.
So they see a painting of them, and they're still talking about the kind of the mission. And while this is happening, they kind of face through the walls together, and they find this kind of like secret panic room, right?
Oh yeah.
And in this panic room, we see Lim himself, Lim Zhao, just hanging out in this bed, kind of this prison.
It was a box within a box because they went into the panic
Yeah,
room, and inside the panic room, there's another panic room.
yeah,
Talking about a hat on a hat situation, it's like, can't you just make the first panic room good enough? Like, what's wrong?
right. Interesting. Someone was paranoid. But they go through the second box and they face through and they meet with the husband, Lim Xiao. And right as they meet him, he knows exactly who they are, right? He's just all like, oh shit, it's Bishop and Shadowcat. Who would have thought? And he's just like, how do you what? They're just like, what? And he's just like, I prayed for you to rescue me, and all this praise be to you, and all these things. And they recognize, oh shit,
He's one of
he's
them worship. It was mutant worshippers.
he's an Order of X member. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
worshiper.
I wonder if he's gonna try and eat him.
Or so yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Which
Oh
one?
jeez. Yeah.
Are you the one that eats us? Or are you the one that just kind of like wants to have our babies?
Yeah. He's like, oh.
But, but yeah, as that's happening, he's just like, "This is weird. I'm gonna sidebar with Kitty real quick. You hold on tight."
We're
Which
gonna
is
have
funny.
a mutant only conversation. You just deal with it. And he's like, okay. And he covers his ears and is
Yeah,
like, la la
la,
la.
la, la, la.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This guy's great. I'm loving him already. He's just introduced, and I'm like, dude, he's playing his role well.
yeah. And Bishop kind of informs Kitty of Kitty of the Order of X and whatnot, and how like people are starting to worship them. And the way that Bishop kind of mentions it and explains it makes a lot more sense now. Where he's just like, Xavier spoke to the entire world. Everyone heard his voice in their heads, and it drove a bunch of them out of their damn minds. Just makes sense. If you were just a random human being, and all of a sudden you got a voice in your head, I guarantee 10% of the population is just like, oh, I heard a voice in my head. I know who the real God is now.
Exactly. Like that there is a level of like truth to that, especially if you look at how naive society has been over the years. And
Yeah.
every time something happens that they can't quite understand, they're like, it must be like religion or like a deity or something. I just like Kitty's approach too, where she's like, Order of X, like, is that something from the Mojo verse?
From
Like,
the
what's
Mojoverse, yeah,
that?
that's a great
That's
one.
weird. It's a TV show? Oh god.
And then as they're talking, they're just like, we can't leave him here. What do we do? And Kitty's just all like, weren't we supposed to be gone like 5 minutes ago? Because again, this is supposed to be a 90-second mission. They're still just kind of bickering back and forth. And as that's happening, we get like this attack, right? We hear like we're under attack, and we get Bishop kind of prepping, and Lem gets kicked, and we find out it is Lady Deathstrike. Which when's the last time you've seen Lady Deathstrike? I'm trying to think back to modern, or at least during the dark days. I don't remember anything with Lady Deathstrike.
I
Uh,
don't know if this is Lady Deathstrike proper though. It almost feels like they're like since there's two of them, there's
yeah,
like they're like Lady Deathstrike clones,
yeah,
or they're just women made to look like her.
right.
There was a X-Force run, gosh, oh, probably about like 7 years ago, where like Wolverine had to fight against like Lady Deathstrike, Daken, Sabretooth, and like a lot of his typical foils.
Mhm.
That's the last time I ever remember seeing her, and that was like 7 years ago. So yeah, I don't really know what she's been doing since.
All right. So they kind of attack her, right?
Well, first
And
they kick him down because they're like, we don't follow your orders because he's like, stand down, everything's okay, and
yeah.
they're like, we listen to your wife, and then it looks like they like the way the her like scarf lined up with her strike. At first, when I looked at that panel, I was like, whoa, did Kitty just get like decapitated? Like, are they gonna like regenerate her like now? Is she dead? because it threw me off, and then I
Oh
was like, oh,
yeah.
that's her scarf,
She,
and she's phasing through
she's
it. I
just phasing through it, yeah, which is cool. She reacts that fast that she's able to be like, oh shit, phase quickly. Um, and it kind of shows Kitty's kind of growth too, because she's pretty elite. I would say, like I guess assassin, not assassin. What would you call him?
She
X Men,
she's
X
a, she's
Man.
a, she is a elite combatant because she's trained by Wolverine in not
Mm-hmm.
only like combat but in martial arts as well. But she
Sure.
knows how to integrate it with her power so seamlessly that it makes her just like even more deadly than just her by herself is badass. You put her power on the table, it's like whoa. That's how she was able to like defeat so many people seamlessly because she's just constantly like phasing in and out of damage and
Mhm.
throwing people through stuff that they wouldn't even, understand. I mean, dude, she went toe to toe with Batroc the Leaper. I mean, watch out.
Yep. Yeah, backtrack, man. Watch out for backtrack.
The-
And so they're kind of fighting uh, back and forth, and as this is happening, we get before. Oh, okay. Before that, we get one of these Deathstrike ladies punches Kitty in the nose, and she gets super pissed. She's just all like, "It's almost healed, and you punched it. Why'd you do that? It was so good. It was almost healed." And yeah, so her nose gets fucked up again.
yeah, it's a bloody. There's the actual blood this time. Like that's just
Yeah.
like running off her face. And it's dark too.
Yeah, exactly. And as this is happening, they continue fighting, and as they're fighting, we get Kitty and Bishop kind of just like, "Come on!" They're still talking about Bishop being the red Bishop, pretty much, and he's just like, "Come on, Bishop's in your name. It's already like there. You got this. You're already halfway there. Just be my red Bishop." And while this is happening, Kitty kind of takes a pillow and phases it through this dish strike's body and just like leaves it there, and it looks very painful.
Because at first the last panel she hit her with it,
Yeah.
and then like left it into her. Like at first I was like, is she just hitting her with a pillow? Like, is this turned into a pillow fight? And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, there you go. Ooh,
Yeah.
jeez. I like how Kitty got hit on the nose when she made the comment about Bishop being the bishop
Hmm.
because his name is Bishop, and I was like, that's a little too on the nose. And it's like, you want else a little too on the nose? This
This
fist.
this fist.
I was like, oh man, that's a good pun. I want to
Oh,
believe they meant to do that, but it's almost felt like it snuck in there by mistake.
if that's intentional, that is genius.
Yeah, that's some perfect like
That's
parable
good
symbolism right there.
stuff right there. Yeah. Um.
The deadliest pillow kill for the entire series. Like, move over X Force. Like, you
Right.
got Kitty murking people with pillows. Oof.
It's great. Yeah, Kitty's murking with people with pillows, and Bishop's blasting them with guns, and
Point
she
blank,
gets
like,
it.
giant
Yeah,
cannon.
giant blast, and this is a second one too, which I didn't notice until just now. I thought it was the same Death Strike, but it's actually a second Death Strike, right?
Yeah, yeah, because there's the two that show up in the beginning. Because like she makes the comment like, "Hey Bishop, like, do you know about these ladies? Like, were there always two lady death strikes?" And he's
Yeah,
like, "I'll bring it up to Beast next time I see him. We'll back put a pin in it. Let's not forget about this though."
yeah,
Yeah, she marks the one with the pillow, and then he takes out the other one with his epic bishop gun that will change sizes throughout the issue. Did you
hmm
notice that? The size of the gun, like I don't know, maybe when he's using it and he like primes it or cocks it or something, that it like changes its initial like size. But man, that thing went from like a cannon to like just like a SMG style like kind of rifle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I do. I noticed it
Bolt
now that you're
action.
mentioning it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ah, that's funny.
yeah, but still, great scene.
Great scene. Yeah, he just blasts one of them, and it's a great because like the whole mission they're just all like, it's gonna be 90 minutes or 90 seconds, right? And it's just like, oh, counting down, right? 80 seconds. Oh, we're definitely past our time. It's definitely past our time. And then they do the mission. They kill some of these death strikes, and Bishop's just all like, can you get that out of her? And then Kate's just all like, and maybe, but our 90 seconds are up 8 minutes ago. So bail.
Yeah, she grabs Student is like, let's get out of here, and they both grab him actually, and they're like,
Yeah.
we're taking you to your wife. We got some business to talk. We're gonna put this bitch on blast.
Yeah, we are. So yeah, next panel we cut to the Taipei arena and we get the wife kind of just giving her hate speech again, talking about how mutants, these gates are an affront to nation sovereignties and whatnot, and just giving her typical anti-mutant rhetoric. And as this is happening, she kind of mentions her husband, and they're just all like, "Hey, we found him. Hey, over
Yeah,
here.
off
Here's your
panel.
husband."
What?
Oh, it's so beautiful, and we just see Kitty and Bishop just holding him, and he's just like, "Here's your husband. Here he is. What are you gonna do about it? He's not in prison. You want to talk about these lies you're talking about? Tell us more."
It's like reluctant, but he's like, "Hi, honey. My
Yeah,
job's delivered me from my prison
yeah,
in Mandarin, apparently."
in Mandarin. Um, and essentially she just tells the wife like you can't use mutants as a scapegoat because of what your husband has done anymore. We're not going to be scapegoats to any of this nonsense anymore. And uh Bishop comes in, he's just all like, we made our point, let's bounce, as like the whole like arena turns on the wife essentially.
Yeah, it's funny too because it's like the wife was left speechless the last panel, and she's like, "This is," and then I love that like shot of like Kitty climbing up onto the stage and her hand like in her face pointing at her says, "Crazy, right? Your husband." It kind of puts the whole, it kind of puts your whole plan upside on its head.
Yeah.
We obviously didn't take him because he was in your residence. Funny, huh? Boo this woman. And they do.
Yeah, and they boo her hard as they phase out. They're like, "We're gonna bounce. We're gonna bounce out of here. Phase out of
I
here."
don't think they don't even walk off the stage. They phase through it. Uh
Yeah, and then like as they're kind of leaving, and as they're getting booed off stage, this is where we get the pickup of the conversation of Kitty kind of pushing the red bishop onto Bishop, and he's just all like, and Bishop's still just like, no, man, red's not even my color, and where's your red? And this is where we get that comment where uh Kate's like, Emma's having Jumbo Carnation tailor everything. Don't worry about it. And that's kind of where we get that kind of nod to what happened earlier. Why Jumbo Carnation is here? What's her purpose? And apparently, awesome fashion for the Red Queen.
this was some Hickman level setup for a plot we never expected. My God. He's their tailor. The man with four arms makes the best clothes.
Who would have thought?
Who
Who would have thought, people?
Oh, I wonder if when Healer died in that one issue when we were going over like how the mercenaries were booby trapped, like I wonder if Jumbo Carnation still pulled like ahead of him on the reincarnation list because they're like, man, we need some dope threads because the X-Men, when it comes down to it, they love to synergize their dope ass thread.
Yeah,
Oh man, make the Avengers look like a bunch of punk ass bitches.
right?
Oh jeez.
That is great. But we cut to private communication, and communication is between Bishop and Hank. And it's kind of harking back to when they were fighting the Lady Deathstrikes, where he's just like, I'll make a note to Hank, and this is it right here.
He sends him an email.
He sends him an email, and the email is kind of pointing out the attack against the Lady Deathstrikes. They even note that they're not sure if they're real Lady Deathstrikes, and they're not sure if it's real adamantium or if it's something else, or
Mhm.
like some weird razors or whatever. But he even notes that he didn't let him get close, and then he mentions that Kitty wants him to join the Hellfire Club, and he mentions that making me a bishop was a little on the nose,
Did it?
which is not wrong, not wrong at all.
Oh jeez.
But then we get the response back from Hank, and he's just all like, "Yeah, we'll make note of the augmentations, Death Strike's augmentations, but you should consider it. You should consider being the bishop and whatnot." And
It'd be another layer of inside coverage for like what they're trying to set up with the Hellfire Club.
exactly,
Like
yeah,
he would be a good backup for an extra added protection and someone that she could trust. And then it would be good for him because then it would focus his efforts better instead of stretching him so thin across all opportunities. They could focus his skills in the Hellfire Club specifically. So he's like, give it a shot, man. You know, and you could travel and have a great time and get intel abroad. You know.
exactly. Um, so after that communication, we come back to kind of the wife. What's her name again? Mrs. I'll just call her Mrs. Zhao, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and she gets kind of like she mentions her life and ended that day, and but like the mutants, she's gonna pick up and rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Even though her family was humiliated, she goes to Madripoor, and she's kind of talking to these people, and we don't know who these people are. And she's just like, "I come to make significant contributions to your organization and fully commit to the fight against our mutant oppressors." And she kind of hands them something. I don't know what that something is. She hands them, but as she hands it to him, we cut to the new Hellfire Club, or I guess they're kind of considered the inner circle of the Hellfire Club, right?
Yeah, they were like the new inner circle back in the Jean Grey School of Learning, like Wolverine and the X-Men comics, because that was all about kids being the focal point of that story, and so they made the villain, the antagonist, kids for the new Hellfire Club. But none of
Right.
them are mutants. They're all just humans who parents died mysteriously, or they obviously kind of nod to like they killed their parents, and that's how they got all their money. And they're
Uh,
creating this anti mutant group, and they're still going by the name of the Hellfire Club. They're just their version of it. But then also they have their new name, the Hominus Verendi, is how you
Hominus
say it?
Verendi is what I get. Yeah.
And that's kind of a new thing. That I'm not familiar with at all. It seems
Yes,
like that's
which
their new type of bag. I mean, it's got a better ring to it than like Xeno. I mean,
oh yeah.
that was a but whatever. The rest of X Force was great, so I don't care about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, this was a weird bag for them to lean on to pull these kids out as like the foil. I mean, I guess that makes sense because Marauders is about the Hellfire Club, but these are just wily children with lots of money and resources. I
Yeah.
really don't see how they could stand to the likes of Kate Pride, but
Yeah, we'll see though. I mean, most of them are just like intelligent, right?
yeah, or just kind of ruthless and like maniacal in their planning and like willingness to go over the line. That kind of stuff where it's like you think you'd be like, oh, well, you pull your punch here, and they're like, no, we'll do whatever we want. We're fucked up kids. We're trust fund kids. We're unstoppable. Like all trust fund kids.
And the only one I really notice, or at least recognize, is Kilgore, which is the super genius kid.
Yeah,
Um, he doesn't have powers, but he always uses like psionic dampening tools when he's around people.
yeah. And
Apparently,
did you notice that dog looks dead in the girl's hand? Like look at the eyes on that dog.
yeah,
Like
that dog looks like it does. It's a
it's either
dead. It's
a
been
stuffed
dead for a
animal
couple
or it's
days.
dead. Yeah.
And her name is Wilhelmina Kensington. Sorry, Wilhelmina Kensington, the only daughter of hotel billionaire Lenore Kensington, who was also murdered. Uh, let's see. Developed a love of both beauty pageants and martial arts. Weird. Okay, and she was found out that Cade was adding a new queen to the Hellfire Club, which she highly disapproved of. At Cade's vulnerable moment, Mina betrayed him and took command of the siege. Perilous complained as its queen by the Philistine.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know too much about her, but apparently she is a pretty. She was introduced around the same time as Cade. Um, But yeah, bunch of kids that are pretty much sociopaths trying to blackmail a bunch of people.
Hmm.
Should be interesting. I am down. I'm down that they're kind of developing these kind of
Anti-mutant
smaller.
organizations.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they're weird, right? Like you got
they
old
are.
ladies, you got children, like it's weird. The Rogues Gallery of X-Men is starting to get kind of, I mean, now that you've brought all of the X-Men villains under one umbrella and kind of
Yeah,
made them one group as just like all mutants, there isn't that strife between the other mutants. And the X-Men are known for like fighting the evil mutants to protect the humans and be a source of good. But that
right.
paradigm has changed.
Yep.
So now they're just like, well, who are we going to replace them with? And we're like, we'll get the young and the geriatric. Also, the most likely to be affected by the coronavirus. But who knows? Who knows? It's an interesting world. The X-Men are curing people one Krakoan joint at a time.
Yep, that is true. But this Wilhelmina uh, girl essentially suggests that Mrs. Zhao be their white bishop, which is interesting. They're still establishing themselves as the Hellfire Club, and they want their own white bishop, and that's where we leave off this issue. What do you think? What do you think about this kind of progression with this kind of oppressive group trying to stop the mutants? Because it doesn't seem like they have power per se, but perhaps influence.
Yeah, influence and money, really. Like it's. I feel like the ending was like kind of a weak reveal because the rest of the issue was so good. So
Mhm.
it's like this is especially since we see how formidable the Marauders can be and the whole Hellfire Club and how it works now as like a corporate organization with the powerful leaders it has. Like this group almost seems underwhelming. Like it almost seems kind of funny. Like it's like you're picking
Yeah,
a fight with children. Well,
exactly.
I mean, I know they're pretty ruthless and they are written as being very intelligent, but like the Marauders are gonna do fine.
I think it's gonna be okay, folks.
I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned in the least bit.
Not at
If
all.
we're fortunate, they'll kill off Pyro and they'll resurrect him without that terrible fucking tattoo.
Right? Oh man, what a garbage tattoo, but we'll see. I have a feeling it's gonna stay for a while.
Yep.
But that will do it for this issue of Marauders. What did you think overall, Danny, of this issue?
I liked it a lot. Marauders has been great. Marauders
Yeah.
is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's been better than like X Force, but at the same time, it's not even remotely as bad as like Fallen Angels
Mm-mm.
or any of those. Like, it's way up there. It's still probably in the top three for me easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I am digging what I am getting from Marauders. I love everything. It's kind of like the back dealings of everything happening, at least for the economy of Krakoa. And we're just kind of seeing that play out, which is cool. I like that. Plus Kitty being a swashbuckling pirate with her, and it seems like everyone else is kind of falling in line with the whole swashbuckling act. We got Iceman, and we got Pyro doing some stuff, doing some pillaging in this issue. So
Storm bringing down the heat.
Storm bringing down the heat,
Yeah.
which is great. I'm loving all of this so far. Any standout moments for you?
When Storm hit them when Storm hit him with the lightning and then turned him into Yamcha, that was
To
great.
the Yamcha.
That
It's such
was
a great
great.
moment.
Yeah.
Uh,
Visually
it's
it
so
was
good.
dope. Comically it
Yeah.
was funny, but I'd have to say the one other moment was that one where when Kitty was going on the stage and she just like was pointing at her face and she's like, "It's crazy, right? We found your husband. Like your platform for your political agenda has now been broken wide open. So deal with that. We're gonna bounce."
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And the way that Kitty handles it too, it's just like the sarcasm is like cranked to 11. She's just like, crazy, huh? Who would have thought? All right, you deal with all this pain. Peace.
Oh yeah, it was just like with X Force. Like Marauders has really good pacing.
Yeah.
It's like X Force and Marauders are toe on toe for pacing. Like they're both the number one issue. I wouldn't put one above the other. The pacing in both of them flows really well. It never feels like any of those stories ever
Mhm.
gets like hung up too long or kind of drags. It's just like, all right, and then on to the next thing, and then we're gonna transition from this, and like look at these panels illustrating that very action in front of you. It's like, okay, cool, I dig this.
Yeah. I dig this a lot. I also agree the kind of her breaking up Mrs. Zhao's hate speech and just like, hey, here's a hole in what you're just talking about now. That's probably one of my favorite moments in this whole issue. And the fact that he's just bounced so quick.
Yeah, yeah,
It's great.
that's just that was flawless. But you say
Uh,
that that's your standout moment as well is that whole like little like reveal.
that reveal, or I don't know why, but her finding the ivory and just going, hey, look at this
Yeah,
ivory. Oh, whoops, it's gone.
that was
That's great
that
too.
was
I
pretty
love that.
funny. I was just like, Kate, when did you turn into Robin Hood? This is funny as
This
shit.
is great. Yeah, and
It's like Ivory is bad.
I
These
love this
rich people are
attitude.
dicks.
Yeah. Yeah, as you mentioned, this chaotic good that she's doing.
Yeah.
This is I love this. I want to see more of this out of Kate. So yeah, those are my big moments. One of the things I didn't dig out of this was the whole cliche like bad Brazilian military guy always just all like, you think you could fight me? And they're just like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's like
Of course I do.
I get that he was meant to be throwaway, so it's like okay, I understand that writing, but at the same time it's just it's too cliche, it's too tropey. It's like
Right.
okay, it's a little lazy. Like you could have done something to kind of build it up. Like you could have had one of those things where like give him a good speech where he's just like, "Well, I'm going to fight for my nation and all this like egregious stuff, like something that gets you riled up like he's going to throw down." And then
Yeah.
she takes him out in one move and you're like, "Ah, that was perfect." I love it. Instead, it was just like, "There's no way you could beat me. What? Storm, one of the most powerful mutants alive? Like, how could you possibly stand to the Paragon?"
The audacity of that man. But yeah, that's one of the weaker moments for me. What'd you
What if
think
he's
about
dead?
the?
Like, I
Yeah,
wonder if he's like he's
it's a good
done.
question, right? He could be
Is
dead.
the Paragon ever gonna come back? Like, he becomes like a super like foil to Storm, and like later on, he's like, "I'm back," and she's like, "The
Oh no.
Paragon. What am I gonna do to you?"
Yeah.
She says her shitty line from the first X-Men movie. She's like, "Would you like to know what happens to Paragons when they get struck with lightning?
The
The
same
same
thing that
mutants
happens to
yeah."
everything else. Oh, Storm.
Uh, Joss Whedon wrote that line.
Did he really?
Yeah, Joss Whedon wrote that line, and they kept it in the movie.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. Apparently, there was dialogue that went before that that made it make more sense, but they just cut it all and kept that one line. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I never. And then I came across a YouTube video that like talked about it, and I was just like, "What? No,
So weird.
that's perfect. That just makes it that much
Yeah.
better." Oh, great.
But that will do it for this issue of Marauders, issue number 4. Next week, we are diving deep into Excalibur. Sorry, folks, X-Men is not a thing in this issue until next week, or next, I guess, round?
Next cycle, because yeah,
Next cycle, yeah.
because all the issue fours are gonna be just the X Force, New Mutants, and like Excalibur and Marauders, and well,
Yep.
Fallen Angels, but
Fallen Angels,
we
but
don't talk
yeah,
about
we don't
that.
talk about that.
Not on our podcast.
Not today,
It's
folks. Not
a happy
today.
place. We just want to have fun.
Yeah. Um, but that'll do it. Let us know what you think of Marauders. Who's your favorite swashbuckling mutant? Let us know. Um, and that'll do it for this week. Follow us on the Instagram. We have an Instagram podcast of X, and leave us a comment. Let us know what you like coming out of Dawn of X. But that'll do it for us this week, folks. Remember, the robots will kill you. So go get on a boat and kiss a Chinese man in Taipei and take his jacket.
but pay him like an exuberant amount of
A
money
lot of money after you
because
get a tattoo from him.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean the kind of money that will allow you to like sexually assault him and just take his jacket and he'll be cool with it.
And he'll thank you for
Yeah,
it.
he'll
Yeah.
even thank you.
Yeah.
We all know what kind of money we're talking about.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, folks.